Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review of The Last of Us Episode 5, Endure and Survive. This episode aired a little bit earlier because of the Super Bowl on Sunday. So that's why you have this video out early. So make sure to really go watch this episode before we get into the review. It was another fantastic episode. I won't go into spoilers until a little bit later in the review. So I'll give you plenty of warning anyways. This episode, Joel and Ellie must find a way to leave the recently freed Kansas City quarantine zone. So, as we left off in the previous episode, Ellie and Joel are looking for a way out of the city. While we know that Kathleen and the people of Kansas City are hunting somebody down, and that is somebody that we meet at the end of last episode. So I'll go into all those details in a minute. This episode was once again directed by Jeremy Webb, so he directed this small arc of the show, written by Neil Druckmann and Craig Mason, starring Pedro Pascal as Joe and Bella Ramsey as Ellie. I will go into more of the cast when I get into the spoilers. Um, Man, this episode is like just go the whole way. The pacing is super just let's pick up and run. It's pretty intense overall. Like there was not a moment where I could feel like we're getting a moment to breathe. Even in those moments, like there's still very important stuff, like whether it's not maybe physically, just emotionally for the characters. There's some pretty intense imagery too, like just of as Kansas City. Like I like that this show takes the time to build a world, even if we're not gonna live long in that part of the world. As we kind of move through the story, like the show takes time to develop those stories and give us a little bit more motivations for the characters, shows what they've been through, just really round out these characters that whether they stick around for the long time or they don't, like we really feel like we understand the characters. Fantastic portrayals all around. We also have some really cool stunts, some really cool just like effects that are happening in this episode. It's super well done. It just every episode it continues to just be as good, if not better, than the last. Um, and this one was no exception. I think this one definitely has a lot more action. There's a lot more of our characters, what's going on with them. But ultimately, I think where the show excels, and it does make me wonder why we enjoy watching media like this. It's the emotional gut punch that we get throughout the episode. Like it is crazy to think that like when I finish the episode, I thought to myself, and I even asked, like, so people play this game willingly, like they go in and they want this story. And I know the show's a little bit different, but yeah, man, what a there's definitely a lot of emotions happening on this episode. But it's just so well done because all the aspects of the show come together. There was maybe like a couple. There's one scene where some effects took me a little bit out of the show, like, but that was a minor issue. So yeah, once again, another fantastic show. My rewatch it my, I mean Another fantastic episode. My rewatch it this weekend, so we did get it early. I'll definitely watch this season once again when it's done, because it is just so well done. And I want to go back and now, once you know the full story, going back and seeing how all the pieces fit together, I think that's always really interesting. So, all right, I'm gonna get into spoilers now. So if you haven't seen the episode, go watch the episode. Come back. You can watch it. Leave the like, leave your comments, questions, all that. And thanks for watching. So spoilers ahead. Uh, fuck, I don't even know where to start. But let's start with how Kansas got freed from Fedra. They the people that formed this rebellion, led by Kathleen, were ruthless. Like some really violent imagery as they were, and as we go through the episode, we learn that Fedra here in Kansas City was one of the most ruthless and just like most oppressive with the people that they were supposedly in charge of taking care of, which is just, it makes you understand that these characters were tired of being oppressed, and it makes you understand why Kathleen has to do the things she's doing. Now there's a lot more layers to her. I think we learned throughout the episode that it is very personal for her, trying to hunt down Henry and Sam, who we met at the end of the last episode in the hotel. But yeah, that was the whole opening sequence of 10 days prior to when Joel and Ellie got there, and how we got there. It is just really well done. Like it makes you appreciate like so much more what happens later on in the episode. So yeah, Melanie Linsky, fantastic performance these two episodes. As we are in spoilers, unfortunately we know that she got taken out by one of the best clickers, I think, just in the show that we've seen so far. I'll get into that more in a minute. Let's talk about Henry and Sam, because if you watch the after show, uh, Neil Druckmann and Craig Mason talked about how Henry and Sam were really there to be kind of a mirror to Joel and Ellie, right? You have this kind of father figure trying to look out for someone that they care about, or and I think although Ellie and Joel's bond is not fully there yet, because they're not really, Henry and Sam are brothers. Um, their performance, like it just really makes you feel for the character. It makes you just fall in love with the characters and want them to succeed. And then unfortunately things turn out the way they do in this episode. So Henry was played by Lamar Johnson, and Sam was played by Kevin Woodard. So Craig Mason and mentioned, or I think maybe it was Neil Druckmann, mentioned that Craig suggested that they make the character of Sam, that they change him to be deaf, to really show how his reliance on his brother, it's on top of everything that's going on top of him just being a child. This is just another obstacle that in this world he has to overcome. So they got Kevin Wooder to make that performance. He's actually a deaf person as well, and he did a fantastic job. I really was Make sure to stay tuned and watch the after the show, because they talk about having a sign language coach, and teaching not only the actors but the crew and how everything got put together. It's very interesting, and I'm really glad that this change that not only affected the story, but it also portrayed how how a deaf person would have to deal with situations like this. It is very well done, and like I said, Kevin Wooder just really knocked it out of the park with this performance. Once again, for Henry and Sam, unfortunately, things did not turn out well for them. I was expecting something after the big, the big incident in the episode. So let's get into that. So as we have Joel, Ellie, Henry, and Sam escaping through Kansas City, they're heading to the tunnels. Actually, they don't encounter any issues with the tunnels, but I think that Kathleen, uh, they were smart enough to make sure that they had more of the area surrounded. I think although they maybe didn't realize that the tunnels were the escape route, they knew that it was the bridge that was going to get them out of the city. So yeah, they as the group was going by, we do have this little downtime. I do love that this is where we get the name of the episode. It comes from a comic book, and comic books are a media that survives the apocalypse, and I kind of love that. That was so cool as a comic book reader, and that's where the endure and survive comes from. And we get to see Ellie and Sam just be kids for a moment, a little bit downtime. They got to play. I think there was also some Easter eggs for the game, if you played the game. Um, but yeah, after that, they kind of fall into the trap. And as Kathleen and her army are closing in on them, we have this truck that goes on the ground, and then the infected come out. And man, what that it was kind of like when you see an ant hill where like it starts going down and then all the ants kind of come up, but just full of infected. It was great. The body movements specifically. There's a little girl clicker that follows Ellie into a truck. The one that ends up ultimately killing Kathleen. She had like all these movements where she kind of like flip and flop, like really well done. They talked about the stunt coordinator and taking classes like clicker class, like how to move for the infected, and then we also get to see a bloater, which we saw in the preview. But as I was kind of getting ready for this, I think they removed a lot of the other clickers out of the preview. They just showed us the big bloater. But yeah, this massive Goliath, I'm sure fans of the game, like they just like they knew things were gonna go down as soon as they saw that behemoth come out of the ground. Um, which reminds us that not only is people, but like this infection, these infected, they're still the real threat. So yeah, such a fantastic episode. And then to wrap up, we get one last, as we are already down in our emotions, the show kicks us one more time when we find out that Sam has been bitten by one of the infected, uh, and he tells Ellie, and they have a really beautiful moment where they have full conversation leading up to him revealing that he's infected. Where Ellie tries to, like, maybe try to cure him with her blood, and obviously, like, as children, they don't fully understand that it's more complicated than that. Or maybe Ellie does know, but she wants to maybe make Sam feel better. Um, Whatever the case is, it doesn't turn out well. Sam turns by the morning, and it is up to his brother to, unfortunately, kill him. And then Henry also takes his own life. It it was such a grim ending. Yeah, yeah, it is. This was definitely, like, it was a very difficult episode to get through all the way, but like I said, it was so well performed. It was so well written, so well done, and it just really like filled out this arc of these past two episodes, as we follow Joel and Nellie into Kansas City. So another fantastic episode of The Last of Us. So let me know what you thought about this episode and the show so far down in the comments. As always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone. Bye bye.